It's a Tuesday. It's the 9th of February 2021. My name is Kobe Spikey Nkrumah, and I bring you Geek Squad, a show that talks tech and tries to get you abreast with all the latest in the tech world. Sometimes we talk science, and yeah, if you feel that you want to be plugged in, you want to be updated, you want to know what's going to happen next or what is happening right now, this is the show to be tuned into every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And today we will be talking about incorporating more Ghanaian women into technology. Now, don't forget the show is also live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter at Joy997. You can log on now. If you don't have a radio on your smartphone, since most of the smartphones coming out now don't have radios, or you can just download the Joy FM app, my Joy Online app, and look for the online radio and then tune in. And you can always follow us. Yes, so on the 22nd of December 2015, the General Assembly decided to establish an annual international day to recognize the critical role women and girls play in science and technology. International Day of Women and Girls in Science is celebrated on every 11th of February. And this day is used to celebrate great women and girls who have contributed to science and technology around the world. So to have this conversation today, it would be ideal to have it with women in technology. So I will be having Ato Acquah. She's the CEO and founder of Ato Technology Consulting, and Regina Honu. She's the CEO of Soronko Academy. Hi.
Hello.
Yes,
Thank you for
yes.
inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you for honoring my invitation and joining us. As a woman in technology, first of all, how awesome is it to be a woman in tech?
I like the way you started. Actually,
Mm,
it's pretty awesome.
yeah.
Listen, there are more of us over the last 10 plus years that I've been in the industry. There are more and more of us, and
Mm.
so we're making more of an impact. And so it's getting more enjoyable as we go. So it's a pretty awesome gig.
I can see that, and I'm grateful. It's like every industry right now, from politics and all that, is getting more females to advocate and
Yeah.
to push basically more women and girls to join tech. So first off, I'd like to know. Tell me about your journey in tech.
Right. So if I go back to just if I go back to the beginning, well, the very very beginning, which is when I finished my secondary school
Mm.
education. There's normally the 1 year gap between once you finish and going to uni, and I had been tossing a couple of ideas in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had decided I was going to do engineering, but in that gap, I ended up going to computer diploma class or something like that.
Mm.
And I think that was interesting for me in there was the fact that I've always thought of myself as creative, but not arty creative, just the ability to think up ideas and innovate ideas.
Right.
And so I was able to, when I looked at how we're taught technology, I just realized I could use technology to be innovative. I could be a creative
Mm-hmm.
without being arty. Using technology, I could build things. And then the thing I absolutely loved was the fact that I think the teacher or the lecturer in the room said, the computer is dumb, you are smart, and you can make it do what you want it to do. And
Mm.
I think that hooked me. And so I went on to go and do a degree in computer science. I went on to do a degree in computer science. And
Mm.
then from there, I went on to do a master's in distributed systems, which is a branch of software engineering,
Right.
and then ended up working across Africa in various jobs, product manager roles, software developer roles. And then after a while, I moved back to Ghana. So I did my master's in the UK, moved back to Ghana, and then started adult technology consulting. So that's a short form of my story.
Great. I'm gonna ask Regina the same question. Regina, thanks for joining us.
I'm sorry I'm late.
No, don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, I want to know your journey in tech.
How did it start for me? So it started. My father bought a computer when I was 12. I played Pac-Man. I fell in love with Pac-Man. I wanted to change it, but then I didn't know how to. And so I was told, like, you have to study computer science or you have to learn how to code.
Right.
But from the time that I kind of had the desire to want to start, I only really engaged with a computer to do any type of coding in university.
Right.
So during that period, there was a lot of, it's very difficult, you can't do it. So finally, when I went to university and I wanted to study computer science, so I went to Ashong University, decided to study computer science. I failed my first class, which was Visual Basic. And so I was going to give up because I was like, everybody has been telling me the thing is hard and true is hard. So, but then I decided that, okay, I can't give up first hurdle. I kept going at it till I fell in love with it, Java became like a second language for me. And then, the rest is history. So that was essentially my pathway. It started from a game.
Right. So a game introduced you to tech.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. So, Ethel.
Yes.
Yes. If you can, I want you to tell us how important it is for us to engage and push more women to be geeks. I mean, this is the Geek Squad. We want more women to be part of the Geek Squad.
So this question, and Regina and I probably have had this question 110 times. So we've spoken about it over and over and over again. Here's the thing. It's the same as you have the data, right? The data is everywhere. It says that when you have diversity, you build better products and you make more money. Really. And that's the fact. From there on, the conversation needs to progress from why do we need women, or is it important that we need women? The conversation has to be about how do we get women into tech? How do we get the girls that choose to pick tech careers staying in the tech space? Because part of it is the environment we create, right? And Regina and I have been through this in our various jobs and what we've had to deal with. The environments have to be, it's the same conversation you have when you say, do we need to include more Black people in C-level organizations all over the world? It's the same conversation. Diversity brings more profit and brings more, it brings more different in product ideas. You have to remember that women are 50%, in some cases, over 50% of the world's population. So if you're building an app, you're building whatever it is you're building, that at least a large chunk of your users are going to be women. What better to have people that have the experience of actually being women in helping to support and build the product? Essentially, that's it. The problem is we need to design workplaces that are conducive to women and young girls, because what's happened is we started with a whole bunch of people. Regina will attest to this, and there are a lot of people decided, look, this is the environments are just not built and conducive for us, and people drop out and do other things.
Right.
And so it's more of creating the environment in corporates. I'm not just talking about corporates, I'm talking about startups. Build the environment in which it's idea driven, it's innovation driven, it's less about all the other stuff, but it's just about producing, and it's an inclusive environment.
Regina, I mean, based on what Ethel has said, it seems as if you're also on the same page. Do you want to add something to that? I don't think she probably heard me. Well, so it's I get this question. I ask this question to more females I meet a lot. Oh, Regina, did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. So now I said Ethel said it, or she I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Exactly what she said It's about creating that environment. It's about how diversity, increase profits and just brings about better innovation. And it's about making sure that you're not leaving half of the world's population behind. So I'm just summarizing what she said, but like it's all those things, and making sure like we discover the potential women have, right? So why do you leave a whole generation or a whole race of people where you don't fully see what gifts God have given them or the potential that they have to really bring change? So it's about also giving women a chance to demonstrate their God-given abilities also.
Great. Now, there's this challenge, especially with women and girls in this part of the world, Ghana to be specific, because I can't speak for other countries, but I speak to a lot of people and women, and I ask them, hey, what do you think about taking up a course in computer science or the sciences or STEM, as a matter of fact? And it's always almost the same thing. Hey, me, I'm afraid of maths. So, hey, maths, and then, science. It seems like our educational system scares women and girls away from the STEM. What can we do to boost the number of girls or boost their confidence to take up more STEM subjects? So, Regina.
Who's that question directed to?
That's why I mentioned Regina's name.
All right.
Yes. Okay. So there are several things. Right. I think the first thing is you must start early because social conditioning also happens early. This mindset of technology is heavy on math or like women can't do it, starts pretty early also. I mean, there are some instances where you have some family members that will tell girls, math is for boys, arts is for girls. Or when a girl is trying to do certain things, you make certain statements like, these things are for men. So starting early is very important. Also, another key thing is, when children are growing up, their teachers are female and they are preschool, they are, as soon as they enter JHS, primary, SS, and they start doing the maths and science, they get more and more male teachers. So also it's important that they see more representations of themselves teaching in these fields.
Right.
So it adds to the stereotype that yes, these roles or these spaces are for men.
Right.
And then the third thing is like, content and curriculum in our educational system is also very heavy on rote memorization. And it has to be practical and engaging. So I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but from what we have been seeing in terms of the way women learn, and the way they sort of share information, it has to be practical and engaging. You will find that when the curriculum is also, it's not even sensitive to really capture how different people engage and learn, right? So you'll see that women don't get the opportunity to fully have to fully grasp information if it's not practical, the same as men. But more so, I think for women, it's easier if the content is more practical and more engaging for them to fully understand, take part, and appreciate what they are learning. And the last bit that I would like to say is you have to keep working on her confidence. We have started doing this bit on emotional counseling, mental health counseling to help women break through those generational barriers of why they hold themselves back and why they limit themselves and why they are not as aggressive. Yeah. So it's also important that you help women work through those layers or issues of I can't do this, I can't do that, and know that they shouldn't or they don't need to limit themselves. Great. Yeah, and more role models is always great for them to see that they can definitely do it.
Great. Now I see that we've got Junior joining us in the conversation.
As you can see.
Yeah, she's very interesting. So, Ethel, from what Regina said about how we can encourage more girls and women, where do you think we are as a country in getting more girls and women to join? To take up more STEM careers?
So even if we take a step back from where we are with women, let's even start with where we are in general, right? So we have an educational curriculum that's heavy on this is a mouse, this is a computer, right? We have an educational system that is not geared towards making our kids in general producers or creators. It's geared towards, like Regina said, it's geared towards learning and pointing. This is the case in point on the teacher that drew a whole Microsoft Word,
window,
what do you call it?
On a board.
On a board, right?
Yeah.
So we have an educational system that doesn't lend itself. And then on top of that, we have situations where girls are nudged towards arts and boys are nudged towards the sciences. So again, that's a further gap. Now we have to start by fixing the issues with the educational system itself that enables. I want to see 10-year-olds building little robotics. I want to see 10-year-olds building their own little apps, playing, figuring things out.
Yeah.
Then I want to see teachers in the classrooms encouraging young girls to experiment and try things out. Now, in my personal background, I didn't know that girls were supposed to be bad at math until I got to secondary school. And then I went to an all-girls secondary school. And then I realized that, this was a thing. Why? Because I was in an environment where that was not even something that I was taught. It was not even a thing that was part of the lexicon, right? I was allowed to play with the computer. I was allowed to do various things. It wasn't, again, it was part of my training to experiment and try out things. So part of that is we need an educational system that lends itself to it. And then we need to have teachers that will encourage girls and push girls in the spaces, at least try and experiment, right? Hey, not everybody has to be in tech, but at least try it out.
Yeah.
And get a sense for it and decide maybe this is not for me or maybe this is interesting for me, right? It took one teacher in a class to connect with what I felt was my calling, and all of a sudden I had changed course from wanting to do an engineering, physical engineering course to go and do a computer science degree. So it's all about the environment and it's all about the curriculums.
Okay, so you mentioned, this question will go to both of you. You mentioned that the educational system and, the environment. Would the parents play a huge role in this? Because I didn't hear mention of parents, telling their children, oh, try this. Because I can tell you from experience that our parents can steer us away from even our own interests. Because they, in their minds, are thinking, I want you to be a lawyer, and as such, you must be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So are the parents a factor?
Yes, I mean, the parents are a huge factor. Like Ato was saying, she didn't even know that math was a thing for girls till she went to SS, because in her environment, her parents never limited her or made her feel that she, as a girl, she can't do math. So parents definitely steer or guide you. They encourage you, and they give you different opportunities to thrive. If you have parents that are supportive, like I attribute my success in being a woman in tech to the fact that my parents supported me and never limited what I can and cannot do. So they definitely do play a huge role. One of the things that we also have to work on is the mindset of the parents, because you have some parents that will even come to us and say, oh, my daughter will study computer science. When she finishes, she will not get work. I actually recently had a conversation with two parents and a young, brilliant boy from Presec. He's actually, it's even a boy from Presec who wants to do computer science, and his parents are like, no, he should do medicine. And that if he does medicine, even within medicine, he can apply some IT. But for them, medicine is like So they actually came to me to convince their son that he can still do IT in medicine. And the son was like, oh, can you talk to me privately before the parents come into the room? And the son was begging me to convince his parents that, you know, he wants to do computer science. So I had to spend some time explaining to the parents the benefit. So it really does make a difference, because you have parents that will usher their children into a particular path, and then years later they go back to the path that they wanted to choose. So it makes or breaks. We have parents that hold the ladies back, because for them their safe space is ladies to stay in certain corners. We have parents that feel that if a girl spends so much time on a computer, how will she find a husband? And you know, husband finding as a woman is like on top of your list of what you are supposed to accomplish in your life, you know. So we have parents that even share that. They're like, oh, my daughter, will she find a husband if she goes into IT? They say like she will be socially awkward, she won't be guy or whatever, you know. And I tell them that now she can sit at home on the computer and select her perfect man. She doesn't even need to be walking and kissing frogs, you know. She can go to all these sites and choose what she wants. If she wants 6 feet, 5 feet, whatever she wants, she can get it there.
She can spec it
so
online.
Yes, that's the
I thought I see you're having a laugh.
Oh, this is Regina, I miss you. I wish we'd catch up soon. No, she's right, actually. The thing is, without the parental support, without parents creating an enabling situation at home, but also without, you know, it's fair that parents want the best for their kids. And part of it is sometimes that the parents don't understand. Like, I remember when I decided I wanted to do computer science, I remember one uncle who said, because I think it was right in the middle of the first tech bust that had happened in the US. And he kept saying, no, you know, they're laying off the .com bust, right? So I'm dating myself. But, you know, and he kept saying, no, but you know, how would you find a job? Because at the time, lots of tech folks were getting laid off, right? So, But right now, a lot of people think I picked the right career at the right time and I put myself in the right position. Part of it is just educating the parents and helping them see that it is an option for their kids, understanding that the trend of tech is right now runs across all industries. And so there are more opportunities for creating and carving out careers. The careers that will exist in the next 10 years don't exist now.
True.
And so at least being in the technology space enables you to be prepared for it. So part of it is working with the parents, explaining to the parents, helping the parents get to the place that they understand that it is a viable option for growth for their kids.
That's great. And it is your time. I mean, this is the time for women in everything, including tech. I mean, especially tech. I'm biased for tech. So it's one of the best conversations I've had on Geek Squad. Very entertaining, very engaging. I'm sure a lot of people are listening. If you're listening and your daughter or your child wants to go into tech, take Regina and Ethel's advice. Encourage them. Don't. If it's about finding a husband, like they said, they can spec it online, put all their specs, click generate, and get the husband printed out straight for them. Or even a number sent straight to their smartphones. So yeah, don't worry about that. They've got it covered, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, moving on. What initiatives do you guys envision should be put in place to get more women, regardless of them being even girls? Some older women may be interested in coding even now. What initiatives do you think should be put in place? Start with you, Regina.
Okay, so let me start from national all the way down. So I know on paper there are several policies, right, that encourage women. I think we have a national ICT policy, and there is a gender component. So I wouldn't even just say about creating policy, but enforcement. Right. Before, I was a little hesitant about quota systems, right? But then I met a brilliant female engineer from Europe, and she shared her story of how she joined a board
for a very big organization. And the only opportunity that she got to join that board was when the country put in this quota system whereby organizations had to have a certain quota for women. And she made a comment of how she had tried to get on this board, but the people deciding who gets on the board were all men. And so they were picking and choosing people that they had things in common with or people that were like them. So she really changed my perception about quota, because if you have a certain group of people that are selecting all the time, chances are they go with what they know. And they may not necessarily give the most deserving woman an opportunity, also because they have preconceived bias or notions. So now I have come to the realization that in order to get more encouragement, there should be a quota for deserving women. You should deserve that, but there should be an opportunity given. So maybe a quota for women on boards, a quota for women to get into certain programs that will encourage more women, knowing that they stand a fair chance at the fight, because sometimes they may feel that they will not be treated fairly, and that happens a lot of times, where they may not even want to take part because they know that either they will not get the fair treatment that they deserve, even though they are fully qualified, or that they have to fight tooth and nail. And I just read another interesting tweet, I think 2 days ago, about a gentleman who would always stop people interrupting. Like when a woman is speaking, they would keep like interrupting her mid-talks, like she's talking and somebody would just jump in. And then each time he would correct them and say, she's talking, let her finish, all those things. So I think quota helps. That the last piece is definitely the women that are doing amazing things. We need to hear more of their stories. When you talk to young girls and you ask them, especially young girls from underprivileged backgrounds, you ask them, what is your future aspiration? One of the top careers is newscaster, journalist, and nurse. That's because that's what these girls see a lot in the media. Like when they turn on TV, they see this newscaster with her hair and she's on the TV telling the news. So for them already, they're aspiring to these things that they are seeing, and how media is portraying women. So for me, it's also a good thing. We need to see more media portrayal of women in science, more of the success stories of women in tech, and more role models of women, so that they become aspirational women for young girls. So girls will now aspire to be like an Ethel, or aspire to be like an Estelle, or aspire to be like Edinam or Lily. So we should hear more of this, and it should be more commonplace in the media also. Yeah.
Sorry, Ethel, you have something to add?
Yeah. And Regina is right there. It's when I was doing my degree. Again, I'm dating myself. Hey. When I was doing my degree, I don't remember that I knew of any Black women that were in the tech field at the time. So it's just exceptionally, for me, it's exceptional to see now that there are a lot more role models for the young girls to look at. There was a time in this country not long ago where the country manager for Google, the country manager for Microsoft, and a bunch of other places were all women. And it was just, and we're still getting there, but that was, for me, was just an amazing time, right? And these women were pushing for more women in the space. Giving young girls something visual, a visual of more women in tech is essential. But also, training our little boys to be inclusive of women when of little girls when they bring them into robotics classes and they bring them into. So part of that is, if you go into an environment and say you're the only little girl, let's say it's a 10-year-old girl and it's a bunch of 10-year-old other boys and it's a robotics class, and they are geeking out, and she feels sort of out of sorts, or she doesn't feel in place, there's a likelihood that she's going to drop out, right? So the work needs to be done also with our little boys to just be inclusive of the girls in the environment. Again, on the curriculum, I really think that they need to rip out the existing, I don't know what they call it, computer technology curriculum, and redo it. It needs to be ripped out from the roots and redesigned, with the future of work agenda in mind.
Right.
I know there are lots of policies. We were, and I think China has too. I think we worked with the Ministry of Communications a couple of years back on when training of young girls. I think it was in Ashanti region and a couple of regions. From that, we've seen that there's a lot of work, because just we need to start with the basics of English, basics of math, and then layer up critical thinking, and then problem solving skills. And before we can even start thinking, do they have computers? Can they build stuff? So we have a long way to go, but I think it's doable. It has to be from just the government side. It has to be long-term planning. We've seen other countries plan it and make it happen. I think that Ghana, they put in the effort. We can do so.
Great. So if you're listening to us, this show is Geek Squad, where we talk tech. And today we're talking about the incorporation of women in technology. If you want to send us a WhatsApp message, the number is 055 1111 997, 055 1111 997, 055 quadruple 1 997. Send us a WhatsApp message, especially the women. Today we're celebrating the women in tech. So if you're a woman listening and you love tech, like the women I'm talking to, send us a WhatsApp message and let's have a conversation. And if you're a guy also, you're welcome. Send a message. But today I'll be expecting more women. So yeah, I've got a message, although it's not from a woman. That's from Bestman. He says, yo, if you're talking of portraying women in tech more, then the best way is movies. Documentaries are boring and few people like to watch them. Take the American movie Hidden Figures, for example. Now that's a great idea. So yeah, if we saw more super women, I believe the women and the girls would be aspiring to be like them. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's her name? The lady in Black Panther, the Black Panther sister, the Shuri. She was such a big hit. Yeah, she was such a big hit with the younger girls. So he's right.
I mean, I was crushing on her. So yeah, looking at where we are as a country, you know, there's so many careers outside if you're a woman in STEM that you could venture in. But in Ghana, what careers would you advise women and girls today to venture into? Ethel, you first.
But see, this is where you're wrong, right? We're not. Ghana is too small a market for us. We work remotely. We are in tech. We can work anywhere. We can sit in our rooms and work anywhere else in the world.
We're global.
We're a global workforce. We're remote global workforce. The thing I've always said to the ladies that have gone to programs that we've done at Women in Tech Africa has always been that your competition is not the person sitting by you in the computer science class. Your competition is sitting in Silicon Valley. Your competition is sitting in Mexico. Your competition is sitting in Latin America. Your competition is sitting in Nigeria. Tech has enabled it to be a global world, right? I've seen a lot. There are a couple of stories where I know people who started. Raymond, there's a young man, Raymond, I know, who started out in University of Legon. Used to do some work, just volunteer work for Firefox on their open source platform. And today he's in Silicon Valley. He got a job sitting here at Legon in Ghana, like breathing the same air as everybody. So, you know, my take on the matter is there's a lot of space. Now, right now, tech has opened up, right? So we've gone from sort of developer coder to AI to data scientists to even in the medical field, the techs in that. So there's so many strains. We can start to sort of pick off and give you sort of a list from, if you think about it, even digital marketing, because now CMOs are spending more, chief marketing officers are spending more on technology sometimes than chief information officers in companies. So there are always spaces, there are always different spaces. There are artists now that are just technology artists, right? So their art is technology based.
Right.
There's so many spaces. The thing I've always said with through tech, you can create a space for yourself, you can create a niche for yourself. And the market is not just Ghana. If you say, oh, Ghanaian companies or Ghanaian clients won't understand it, well, that's fine. It's a big remote global world out there for you to go out and conquer.
Great. Regina.
Yes. I mean, I definitely concur with what Ethel said. We have an engagement with a French company that outsources digital micro AI tasks, so data tagging, data annotation. So some of the women in our network sit at home and do this work, and they have to work 50 hours a month and make 300 euros for just 50 hours of work, you know. So really your stage should be global, and there is an increase in demand for such talents globally. And Ghana is one of the countries that they look to because we have good economic and political stability. We speak English, you know. So like Ethel is saying, you don't have to limit yourself to Ghana. And interestingly, I think we're also seeing a tide in the appetite for even small and medium scale enterprises, average Ghanaians, for being online and going online. So like digital marketing is increasing, content creation is increasing. So even I'm seeing a shift of you know, brands using influencers or brands using skits like to sell their products, you know, and getting these people that spend their whole time just doing comedy skits and that's their full-time job, to people innovating within agri-tech, fintech, you know. So the range and the options keep opening up, and now edutech, you know. So there are several different options. And I'm also seeing how we are redefining sort of our way of e-commerce with women mixing Instagram and WhatsApp and mobile money to do sales, you know. So you have some people that are opening corner shops, you know, using technology as a platform, but not even as techies, but understanding how to play different tools and put them together to deliver, you know, the results that they're looking for. So the career options are endless, and more people are even creating different careers. Like Ethel was saying, some careers won't exist, new ones are coming up. So definitely the options are far varied and not just local.
Well, Regina, you've had the opportunity to train young women and girls in tech, and you've seen how the progress. What advice would you give first to the parents and then to the young women and girls?
Okay, so my first advice to parents is they should not be afraid of the unknown. They should embrace, you know, the change that is already here. Let me just say the change that is already here. And that is, they should support their children's talents and nurture their passions. So they shouldn't steer them to what they think is the best path based on information from the past. The future is based on an individual's ability to transform their passion or their talents or their skill sets into an avenue that generates income. So they should support their children with whatever they want to do, and encourage them. If they see that they are passionate about something, encourage that passion and allow their children to try different things. So we should come out of that mindset of the child goes to school, church, and home. Extracurricular. Let your children explore, you know, like we're saying, they are competing with children all over the world. And these children are doing all sorts of things, sharpening their critical thinking, their problem solving, you know, these kids. So even if you can't necessarily afford it, you know, find out all these different programs that are there and support your children to do different things outside of school. School is not enough. For the girls out there, my advice that I always share is, you are more than what you think you are. Young women and girls limit themselves and they limit their potential based on what they hear or how they see themselves. Just go, just keep trying. Failure is a learning experience. We've all failed, and that's how we keep growing and learning. If you don't fail, that means you're not trying. It doesn't matter that you fail. What matters is what you do. So I'll encourage young girls that even when they're afraid, they should still keep going. They should still keep pushing.
Great. I thought you want to add something.
Yeah, so to parents, my advice is just start your kids early. Start early, start them smart, get them into marathons, all sorts of these Saturday after school programs. Um, help the kids, help your kids find what's interesting for them and what works for them. Like I keep saying, robotics classes, math classes, algorithm classes. Like send your kids, let them explore, let them try things out. They're not too young to be playing around and trying new things. So that would be my advice to the parents. To the younger girls, women are trained, socialized to work to perfection. And my take is be brave, not perfect. Brave being that, stick your neck out, take the path that hasn't been taken before. It's easy. Women are socialized. For instance, if there's a job, women will go through the list, and if there are 10 attributes and she doesn't have 3 of them, she will not apply for the job. It's part of socialization, and that's why I say be brave. I mean, what have you got to lose? So be brave, not perfect. Keep trying.
Great, great. So we've got a message here from Ivy. She's saying she's enjoying the insightful discussion. Kudos to the Geek Squad team. And Sorunko is one of the places on my list to send my children to. They started some coding before COVID came by, and it's interesting what ideas they churn out. I want them to build on it. Thank you once again to the ladies. We've got another message from Guy Fox in UK. Charlie Spikey, very refreshing listening to the ladies on the show. Brilliant stories being told, and especially as with regards to their journeys into and within technology and the encouragement of females in technology. I love the idea of ripping up the whole of the tech curriculum in GH and making it more focused on the basic ones, like one of the ladies said about building English language knowledge, critical thinking, and simple systems before taking computers. Shout out to the ladies. That's from Guy Fox in the UK. I've got Bliss from Darkman says, these ladies are good. I need them to mentor my daughters. Kindly let them share their contacts or handles. Definitely will do that, Bliss. Kudos to the ladies. Their contributions this evening will help a female out there to change her disposition about technology. Good evening, Kuma. That's from Auntie Della. Good evening to you too. Good evening, Kobe. Please ask your guest, what is her biggest motivation as a woman in technology? That's Ajaman Joseph in Community 9, Tema. So lots of big ups and shout outs to you, Ethel and Regina. They're asking, what's your biggest motivation? So Ethel first, then Regina continues.
Like I mentioned earlier, I've always thought of myself as creative, just not arty creative. Computer allows me to create, to design, to develop products without having to necessarily be creative. And I also like having money in my pocket, so that's also good.
Don't we all?
Oh, don't we all? Don't we all? No, for me also, I mean, I like solving problems. I like, the rush and excitement you get when you start with a challenge and you push yourself and then you come to a solution, So I really like to be in the position where I can be part of a solution. So that is really one of the things that motivates me, that I am part of building a solution that is not just for now, but for generations to come.
Great. And I remember Regina mentioned, it was Ethel that mentioned that it was Pac-Man that drew her to tech. I think a lot of brothers who have sisters, when your sister says she'll play the PlayStation, let her play some. You don't know, she probably might be the next developer for EA or, Bethesda. You don't know. Let them play the PlayStation. Let them play the Xbox. Let them play the Nintendo. Don't be selfish and say it's a boys' game. Right now, everyone can play, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're listening to us and you have a woman in tech you'd like to celebrate, you can call 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. Now, as your final, statements before we end the show, I'd like you guys to tell me about various projects you're embarking on to support females who want to venture into tech and how our female listeners who are listening right now can join. So, Regina, you want to start?
Okay. So we're doing different programs this year. We're just about to launch a national digital media program. So we're training women in digital media in 13 regions with Ghana Tech Lab.
Right.
We're also about to launch our Stronko Python ladies. So we're seeing the increase in demand for women to learn Python classes. We have a Women in Digital Skills program that is ongoing and a program targeted at young girls that have just completed SHS. So if you check our social media handles, there are different programs that we have. We also have some soft skills programs that we're running, helping women with their entrepreneurship business, adding digital to it, or helping them grow and get funding with different partners. So we this year we are working with a lot of partners to work with women at different stages, either be it teaching them tech skills or supporting them with their business, helping them or connecting them to jobs. So we're calling this year the year of opportunity. So if you check our social media handle, you'll be very happy to be a woman because we have a lot of great programs for women this year.
Great. Ethel?
Yes, so this year with Women in Tech Africa, so we're spread across the continent. So we're one of the things we wanted after 2020 has been a hard year. So one of the things we are looking to do this year actually is we're having a Women in Tech Africa Awards where we're celebrating the women that have been resilient in the year before. So it'll be interesting just if you can join our platform, if you just go to womenintechafrica.com, you can either join a platform or follow our social media channels. You can learn on the women that we will be celebrating. It will be July this year. We also have monthly training sessions online. So if you follow, I think the next one is in about 2 weeks. We have training on hard technical skills, but also soft skills. So if you, I don't have the dates here, but if you follow our network, and then we'll have a lot of sort of peer learning events. Getting towards the end of the year, we'll have a big Women in Tech, what we call the Women in Tech Week, which is celebrated globally. So it brings together both virtually and physically about 10,000 women across the world and women in the diaspora, where we look at how we can support each other and how we can grow in the technology space. So so if you go to www.womenintechafrica.com, you would be able to pick up, or at Women Tech Africa on Twitter, you'll be able to see all the events and all the projects we're doing.
Great. So Ethel's mentioned her website and her social media. Regina, you want to drop your handles for people who like to follow?
So Stronko Academy. So you can search for Stronko Academy on all social media platforms. You'll find us easily.
Great. So Soronko is SORONKO. For those who want to find it, Soronko Academy is one word.
Yes.
It was great talking to you guys, and I really, really enjoyed myself. And I'm glad my listeners are inspired and motivated and loving the show. One last message, Spikey. I want to know if the IT they are pursuing pays. Ishmael, I think they've one-on-ones. They've said it that money in the pockets is one of the motivations for which. And I mean, which other profession would let you be in multiple countries at the same time? I think being in tech is the best way to go.
Best.
Yes. So a message also here. C. says, thank you for today's show, Spikey. It's not my initiative. Shout out goes to my producer, Prince Safo. He pulls the strings. I'm just the driver. He put the car together and I sit behind the wheel and drive it. So if the car is smooth, it's Prince Safo who did it. So big shout outs to Prince Safo. He's always holding me down. Thank you very much, boss. I salute. And thank you, Regina. Thank you, Ethel, for joining me. Thank you for making the show awesome, like the awesome woman you are. We'll
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Yes, we'll definitely have you guys on again. And last shout outs, should I? Thank you, Abeku Sankofi. Thank you, Dennis the Fair Boy. And thank you to Prof. Emmanuel for making Geek Squad awesome. The show will be recorded and available on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube on video on demand And yeah, if you missed it, go watch it again. You learn a thing or two from Regina and Ethel. My name is Kobe Spike Nkrumah. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you next week on the next one.
Geek Squad.